If we ask the question how 60 years after the Civil Rights Movement, after this historic legislation to end racism happened, that we continue to have a country that is seized by racial discrimination, we have to ask why that is and why this continues to happen. I am Keyenga Taylor. I am a historian and a writer. I am concerned with the ways that racial inequality continues to shape the lives of Black people in the United States and the struggles that African Americans undertake to challenge inequality. My book, Race for Profit: How Banks and the Real Estate Industry Undermined Homeownership, is really an effort to understand why housing discrimination continued long after the passage of the Fair Housing Act in 1968, and the ways that this program went awry because it was left in the hands of private developers who had historically and continued to benefit from the exclusion of Black people in the real estate market and continued those patterns. The Black Lives Matter movement is not just about policing, it's not just about the criminal justice system, but it's really about how social and racial inequality has made Black people vulnerable. I decided to begin writing from Black Lives Matter to Black liberation several months after the uprising in Ferguson, but also how I wanted to look at the ways that the uprising in Ferguson then unleashed really a national movement that used as its primary slogan, Black Lives Matter. Why does racism persist over time, even after we have passed so many laws and regulations that ban its practice? Why do the police as a force remain so antagonistic and yet indifferent to the experiences of Black people? But also, I wanted to examine the tensions that exist within Black America, because one of the most interesting things I discovered when writing this book is my own realization that it was young African Americans' belief that the candidacy of Barack Obama would represent something different if in fact he became president. Whether this was rightly attributed to him or wrongly attributed to him, the seeming ineptitude or indifference of the federal government, led not only by an African American, but by, at that point, the largest concentration of political power in the history of Black elected representatives in Congress, which seemed to have little impact on police harassment, killing, surveilling, jailing of Black people, that it contributed to the radicalization of young Black people, which eventually boiled over into Black Lives Matter. And I wanted to capture that and understand how that not only raised questions about what public policies might be necessary to finally address these issues in a substantive way, but whether this movement then opened up larger questions about whether these issues could be resolved at all. It's not that electoral politics are thus irrelevant. It means that we must do more than that. The conclusion I come to is the important role of politics outside of the electoral realm, the politics that emerge from community organizing, the politics that emerge from the mass movement. I think that those are critical to understanding how we can really change the United States.